Peace and joy, guys. Welcome back to another video of Drumheller Farms. Today we have a special video for you. This one is from the archives. This video was actually filmed back in August of last year. Now, I never posted the video because there was so much good information there. To be honest with you, it was very hard to narrow it down and create a good video. I decided that I really wanted to share this video, and I was going to do my best to condense it down into a little short version. Let me give you a little history about this video. We started filming this video clear back on last spring with an organization called Grow Jackson. Grow Jackson is a non-profit organization that believes that everybody should have access to fresh food. Jacob Inocencio was a gentleman that I met one Sunday afternoon in Grand Rapids, Michigan, which is about an hour and 45 minute to 2 hour drive away from where we are today on the farm, and met him at a Sunday wedding. Kind of a funny story. Somebody in front of me that I knew was talking to him in the row behind me, and I was kind of dodging their conversation until he made a mention of his community garden program. And the person in front of me that I knew very well said, "Nathan would be a good person to talk to about your garden." And when I turned around, I asked him, "How do you plan on planting the garden?" The first thing he told me was, "Well, I plan on tilling the sod." It was like nails on a chalkboard to me. I did everything I could that night to convince him to do something other than tillage and start talking to him about the benefits of no-till farming and no-till gardening. Believe it or not, he decided to listen to me, and it resulted in 2 days later, Alice and I went out there with some equipment, our bale unroller, and about 25 round bales, and we rolled those bales out along with a 7th grade basketball team and a few other volunteers. You'll see that video. It was one of the very first videos I ever made when I started our YouTube channel. I'll go ahead and post a link in the description to that video, and you can check that video out while you're at it. This video is a follow-up from that video, and it is the end of the growing season, and he's talking about all the benefits that he discovered from a no-till farming. I would appreciate if you guys give this video a like. If you've got any questions or comments, put them down into the comment section. I'm gonna do some chores, and I hope you enjoy this video, and I hope you can hear the heart and the passion behind Jacob Inocencio, his nonprofit, and his love for the land and for his community. Welcome back to another video. Does this place look familiar to you? This is the no-till garden out here for Grow Jackson. We're coming back up to do a follow-up with them.
You know what's crazy? Just in terms of case study, this side was planted in a no-till, and this side was not. Identical plants, identical start dates, identical seeds, identical mediums. Just in terms of looking at like this cucumber versus this cucumber, same soil,
yeah,
a foot apart.
Yeah.
This was covered, this was not. It's just, you cannot overexpress how effective it is.
You can see it.
In terms of, greenery, in terms of...
Yeah, that one's still alive too.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
That's still going.
We've irrigated the whole garden 0 times. The melons and the voluminous fruits are doing this well. Again, with 0 irrigation. And it's like you talked about last Friday. Like, yeah, it's been a really good year for rain.
Yeah.
But everyone else has gotten that same...
Right.
Everyone's gotten that same rain.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I said, because it's like, you say, well, how's come 5 miles down the road from me, the people that had the same rainfall as I do,
Yeah.
their pasture looks like a putt-putt golf course.
Well, that's the thing when you compare here and the King Center. Like, Martin Luther King Center.
Yeah.
City of Jackson. Soil tests came back pretty comparable. It's both city properties, so the management practices have historically been the same.
Mm-hmm.
We planted the same kinds of plants. That got organic compost, that got irrigation, that got weed barriers, that got way more of our time. And if you were to go there, and I mean, it's like night and day, it's not even the same. You'd think they were different gardeners. And we spent more time there, more focus there,
Wow.
more of our volunteer hours there.
But
it's you can't even tell it's the same garden. You'd think different people were running it.
because this is more harvest, they're harvesting more out of it.
Our biomass above ground is higher. Our harvest is higher. Our productivity is higher. You can just look at the plants and tell they're healthier. I mean, the pepper plants at the King Center are the exact same pepper plants here, and every pepper plant at King Center looks like this versus like this. I mean, yield is higher here, pests are lower here. Available.
I'm getting chills because
I know
you're getting observing.
I know.
It's
You
all
can just
about
see it.
observant,
You can
right?
just
You
see it.
see it. You see it, man. Now, one thing that you're gonna hear in this video is him talk about King Center and St. Mary's Gardens. So Jacob has several community gardens throughout Jackson County, and he's also partnered with several other community gardens in our area. And you're gonna hear how little inputs he has had into this no-till garden versus all of his other gardens. And the funny thing is, you're gonna hear he's had less inputs and more yield out of this no-till garden. And that was what I told him when I met him at that wedding up in Grand Rapids. I said, listen, if you're gonna till that soil, what you're planting is a maintenance garden. It's gonna need fertilizer. It's gonna need weed control. It's gonna need irrigation. And that's another thing you're gonna hear in this video over and over again, how he talks about how they do not need irrigation because the hay over the land has formed a soil cap, so to speak.
Our pest issues are almost non-existent.
Right.
I mean, this is the
Say that again?
Our
Right.
pest problems are almost non-existent. This is the biggest demonstration of pests you have. That's it right there.
Mine go for the weed.
You're not spraying anything on that?
Spraying nothing. we have no compost inputs. We have no spray inputs. Not even organic like a BT. Like this is it. This is the extent of what you get from like visible pests eating the plants.
And they're
But
still
all of this
flowering.
yellow would be fruit, but we're having a pollinator issue, and that's not a no-till thing either.
That's more sunflowers.
Yes.
More
Pollinator
of that.
strips.
Yes.
The only thing we've done is we've spread square bales
Yeah.
of straw.
Yeah.
Like
How
we
many
came
you
in,
think you spread?
80. And not
Wow,
all of them,
that's
because
quite a
there's-
bit.
There's some sitting here.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, there's probably maybe 5 or 6 here, 5 or 6. And that was the only additive all year.
Yeah.
No sprays for pests, no sprays on leaves, no weeding.
But it looks great.
It looks great, and that's the thing, is that we had to have, I mean, part of it is we probably wouldn't have needed to spread 80, but sometimes you have to, when volunteers want to come, you need something for them to do.
Yeah.
So then it's a situation where, okay, you know what, we'll spread more organic matter.
Right.
We'll kill more weeds. But really, after you get to mid-June, and
That's
you
it.
give the plants the competitive advantage.
Right. One of my favorite parts in this video was to hear him say he had people lined up, volunteers lined up looking for things to do, and he didn't have nothing for them to do. Which is exactly what I told him at that wedding that day. If you till the soil, you are gonna create a maintenance garden. And it's the same way in farming from what I see. Tillage farming is input farming. And billions and billions of dollars are made off the backs of the farmers, and the last person to cash their paycheck is the farmer themselves. But the guy coming out to sell you all the chemicals and selling you all the equipment is probably making more money a year than you are. And to me, that just doesn't seem right.
It's only a weed if it's out competing
Yeah.
Right.
your brassica right here, and clearly it's not. You cannot overstate how effective the system was. I mean, we go through and harvest here for a couple hours and you can't even tell.
Huh.
I mean, you plant here, we planted here 3 weeks later than our other gardens. Like I said, we've never irrigated, and we had multiple 100-degree days in June.
Yep. With no rain in June.
Yeah.
No rain.
No rain.
Days
Yep.
after we planted. Days.
So how much flack did you get did you get any from anybody? Like, what are you doing? Like, man, this ain't never gonna work.
Well, okay, so it's funny because last year we tilled at the King Center.
Right.
We tilled at St. Mary's. In the city, I was like, okay, we need to have the amendments, right? This is soil that's never had a house on it, and we tested for heavy metals and toxins, but we were thinking, okay, low P&K, and we need to add the compost. So we tilled, spread compost, and that was when we got the flack. I mean, the smell, right? Just from the compost, because that's how it goes.
Right.
You spread 40 yards of manure,
Right.
people are gonna have a problem,
Right.
especially people in the city who are not used to that sort of thing.
Right.
And so we caught a lot of flack, city government calling me, and again, really supportive. I mean, we've got farmers, the city manager's a farmer, the guy who's the head of economic development for the city's a farmer, very supportive of what we do, but they're like, hey, we're hearing a ton of negative on you tilling, spreading compost, and I'm out there spreading, you know, brown matter, trying to
Yeah.
kill the smell, tilling it back in. And it was a huge PR problem early on. So I said, okay, we'll never do that again.
Huh.
And I thought, before I talked to you guys, I thought, okay, we'll till here and we'll plant into soil that we know is not super healthy, but we'll just individually dress plants.
Right.
Like, I'll buy the compost, I'll keep it tarped, and I'll just dress plants right at the roots. And then we talked, and I was like, okay, we'll see. I mean, you know, I know you guys know what you're talking about, but I'm not positive that it's gonna work. This guy came out like 2 weeks ago. I'm out here, we're harvesting. This dude walks up with his dog. He's right over there by the fence, and he's like, I gotta know. He's like, I live a quarter mile up the road. And I was like, okay, you know, how's your garden doing this year? It's terrible. I was like, okay, why? He's like, I don't know. he's like, what are you guys spraying out here? What are you using? What's your fertilizer?
Oh, I love
What's your, like, what's the thing that I'm not buying?
Right.
I was like, sir, I don't know how to tell you this. We've never irrigated. We sprayed nothing.
Right.
We just planted into the dead grass after we rolled out hay.
I have a question for you. What was your, what did you feel when you did peel away hay or straw
Show you. Like,
and
you can't
plant
even-
into it? Were you not impressed with that fluffy cake soil under there?
Well, 100%. And that's the
Chocolate
thing.
cake.
That's why I was like, you know, you think, remember, my background's not agriculture, it's forestry. So I was thinking, okay, this is way too compact. Like, if you wanted to, like, just put your finger through this, you couldn't, because it's the first year. And I'm like, this is too compact, this isn't great. And even though everything I know about plants, even though everything I know about root structures and the plant science, I was like, I don't know about the first year. Like, we, you know, when we talked about, you know, no-till, I was thinking that needs a couple years of planting into it, planting cover crop, building those soil structures before you can plant a mixed vegetable garden. So yeah, I mean,
Then I show you the picture of a plant busting out of a rock.
exactly, or in the front of your gate or
Yeah.
your bill room. But it's hard to put your trust into that. You know what I mean? We're running an organization here. All eyes are on us in terms of success and in terms of
Pressure's on.
yeah, the pressure. I mean,
Hey, when I left here that day, when we were pulling out of here, I said, man, I hope it works
hope
to
it
Allison.
works.
I said, I hope
Exactly.
it works, because if it does,
I
she
had
goes, it's
full
going to work. I
faith.
said, if it doesn't, we're going to look like some idiots. I mean, yeah, I know it works, you know, what we've done, but
So we have, you know what I mean? Like I said, we have a volunteer event with you guys where we build fence and we spread hay. We had a volunteer event where we planted. We had a couple volunteer events to spread straw. So our labor hours, I mean, I could sit down and calculate,
Right.
okay, this many people, but people want to come volunteer. People like to send a group out and help. And I was at a point.
harvest.
We,
wanna harvest?
Well, we're going to. We're going to work with Rise Above.
That's
this
all
fall.
we really have for you.
This fall, every week, we're gonna work with Rise Above to help harvest. But I got to a point in June or July where I was like, what am I gonna have volunteers do? like the labor intensity is so low that I don't even know what to have volunteers do. And I wish that I knew in April, you know, sitting behind
Right.
you guys at that wedding, what I know now, because this whole space Like we're on just under a half an acre in this fenced-in part, but the whole space is available to us. I didn't know how easy it was gonna be.
Yes.
If I had known, I'd have said, "Yo, cover the whole thing." We would have done it 20 more round bales.
Yeah.
When you talk about conserving and sustaining, like when it storms and trees come down and soil washes away, and we got to worry about that at King Center.
No.
We don't really hear. It's like a sponge.
Yeah.
It's like you're talking about your field, and I didn't get to go on your tour, but. Like,
Whoever can hold on to the water longest wins.
Exactly. All you have to do.
You're gonna be using that kind of stuff now to talk to you.
I
Like,
totally am. I totally am. I always credit you, but I'm like, yo, you guys gotta meet the drum millers. Like, they know what's going on. Like this place, it's just a sponge. Like you come out here after a storm, and yeah, you kind of feel it a little bit, but you come out here after 2 weeks of 90-degree days, and it's
still kind of like that.
You're just like, oh, yo, city
Look at
council
this.
person, mayor, whoever it is coming to visit, whoever it is coming to check it out. I'm like, look at the soil. That's the secret. And we've got people who are master gardeners. We've got people who've been doing urban ag in the city for 20 plus years who know way more than me about management practices.
Right.
But we're starting to have conversations with those people about, yo, this is the secret. This is, this is the secret. This is the key. And showing a couple people, then they can show people.
Yes.
And so now in February, March, I can send those people messages and say,
Saving
hey,
the earth.
don't till again.
What's different, what's happening here versus the King Center, is you're building earthworms, where over there you're destroying their home every year, or you were.
Yeah.
And so,
We'll never do it
the
again.
pH on an earthworm casting is 7. 7.
So yeah, we will never, for our partners, the gardens that we have helped manage or helped start, or like this one, this was like that last year.
Yeah.
We'll never till here, of course. And for the people we support, like, I don't even want to sell my tiller because I don't want anyone to use it.
Right.
But I'm like, I don't need this anymore.
No.
We'll never till the King Center again. We'll never till at St. Mary's again.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to kind of come up with a balance, because this is a little bit wild. You got grass here, but this is a little bit off the beaten path, so we can get away with more.
At that wedding when I met you, I said,
Straight line.
right.
The perfect little.
I said, what
monoculture
you're
is
about to
so
do is you're
ideal.
about to plant a
Ecosystem.
but what I said when you said, hey, I'm going to go till the soil, I said, what you're doing is you're going to plant a maintenance garden.
Yeah.
That's what you're
Monoculture.
planting.
Like, that looks like monoculture to me.
And he goes, well, this is what the people want to see from the city. I said, that makes me want to puke.
That makes me sad.
Because that's not, I said, you need to educate those city people on what it's supposed to look like. And it's supposed to look chaotic, because that's
Where
what
there's
nature
little
looks like.
surprises everywhere.
Surprises
Little
everywhere.
gifts.
Our
This
random
is chaotic.
Our random sun.
You know, one thing I find interesting that Jacob talks about in this video is the pressure that he experienced from people on the outside, whether it be city council people or other people planting gardens in his area. He talks about how they want to see it look one way, and I believe it's the same pressure that us farmers experience from other people in our community. This is the way we've always done it, or this is the way you have to do it, and it's hard to go against the grain. And it's especially hard to go against the grain when it's something that your family has done for generations after generations. No-till farming has been proven to be 15% more profitable than tillage farming. And it's also better for the environment, better for your grounds, improving your soil. So you have to ask yourself, why isn't every farmer doing no-till farming and cover cropping? I believe that question is best answered as a fear of failing, which I can understand that. What do you do with all the fruit?
So we've got a stand at the King Center and a stand at our St. Mary's garden.
Now that's just free to the community, or?
For the community, yeah. So even though those two gardens are smaller and less productive because different practices, they'll be as productive next year with the different practice, with this practice.
Yeah.
But they're on bigger thoroughfares, right? They're close, like more people are there. This is great, and a lot of people who live in the surrounding block will come through here, but it's not a place that people are gonna organically find themselves.
Right.
King Center, St. Mary's, you got
There's
Franklin
tons
Street,
of them,
Mechanic
yeah,
Street.
yeah.
People are going through, and we can fill those stands up. And we can harvest here for an hour, King Center for an hour, St. Mary's for an hour, fill the stands, and they're gone in a day. My one of my favorite stories is last summer at the King Center. Before this garden even existed, we were at the King Center, we were teaching, and unfortunately, there was a shooting like a block away. And I was really bothered because I didn't grow up in a community where there were frequently shootings. But all the kids we were teaching were just completely unfazed. And when I realized it was a shooting, I was bothered. And then when I realized they were all unfazed, I was really bothered. I was like just the trauma that goes into them hearing a shooting going on and not really having an adverse reaction. I was really bummed. And I was like, God, we're in the wrong, you know what I mean? There's just so much that went into that. So we go inside, we're still teaching, we're trying to like maintain the lesson, we're talking about pollination. We go back outside and a kid walks up to a cucumber and he watches a bee crawl into the flower and he's like, oh my gosh, the bee's doing the thing you were just talking about. And that moment for me where I was like, okay, this is all worth it, it's okay. Like there's gonna be bad days, there's gonna be tough moments, but like that's what I'm all about. And I mean, we were with the YMCA all summer in the St. Mary's Garden, and we had 30 kids from the Y and the St. Mary's Garden harvesting kale, and everyone's begging to take home kale and cook it. I'm like, where else are you gonna find 30 kids who are begging to go home and eat kale? Like, can I take more vegetables home? I'm like, that's what we're all about.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Because it tastes different when they make it themselves. Yeah, when they grow it.
You can't make an 8-year-old do pretty much anything. I mean, you can, but
Right.
you can't make them want to do anything.
Right.
But if they can get excited about it, you know what I mean? If they want to go home, if they want to cook squash, if they want to cook greens, if they want to talk about their health, right? That's our mission. That's what we're all about.
Right. Give us another summary about what Grow Jackson is, and maybe your quick mission statement, which you've already heard some of it. But.
Sure. We exist to end hunger and food insecurity in Jackson. We rescue food, but that's not a big part of what we do compared to this. And we grow food because we believe food is a human right, and we don't think it's, you know, we say that, and we don't think it's insane that everyone should have enough fresh food.
What I see, and I think what makes you probably even more excited, is being able to educate people on how to do this themselves.
100%.
And then return, just say, hey, you know, do a small little area. We'll come over with a couple even square bales or whatever.
And get it started for you.
And get it started. Man, I want to see you with some chicken tractors out here.
I know, we're working on it.
Seriously, dude.
If we owned it, it would be in a different spot. We have to go slow.
What you need to do is invite those city council people over to the farm and say, hey, we want to invite you over for lunch. And they'll walk out and we'll eat lunch right on top of the chicken tractors. And then before you know it, say, hey, there's 500 chickens right here. Did you know that? You know what I mean?
And they will come back.
All right, I'm not going to leave
Without eating the tomato.
without eating some fruit. Try some of that no-till fruit. Whoa.
Delicious?
I know. Once people come out here and eat fruit out of the garden, they
And it's nutrient dense because
It's a big thing.
it's being grown in ground that has nutrients, not torn, ripped apart and raped and pillaged every year.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Well, sweet, man. I'm glad to come over and see your project. And honestly, man, like I said again when we left here, I said, you know, I even prayed about it. I said, Lord, I know you've given me the wisdom,
But
you know, in Allison, it's gonna be just, you know, but I'm just like, Lord, you know, I pray that you, you know, would just make this thing thrive. And you know, honestly, it's looking great.
You've heard it. He will never till a garden again. And he's found such a love for the soil, he doesn't even want to sell his tiller to somebody because he doesn't want to even hear of them tilling the soil themselves. I hope that through this video you've learned a little bit about no-till gardening and the benefits of a low-input garden, and will possibly consider a no-till garden yourself this year. I hope that you will take the time today to check out Jacob's nonprofit. He can be found at growjackson.org, and possibly even consider donating some of your time or even a gift to Jacob's programs. For now, Keep staying tuned to the channel. We got a lot of cool stuff coming up. Thanks for watching. God bless.